Just getting in a vibe. So, welcome back, everyone. We're so happy that you're here and so thrilled to go into day 4 together. Now, we had an amazing bonus session last night working on our mindset, working on all the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that could, if we leave them interrupted, get in our way and either slow us down or, worst case scenario, stop us from writing our books, from bringing them out in the world, from making the impact that we came here to make. So we're not going to let that happen, right? That's why we did that bonus session. The replay will go out. So everyone who wants to and couldn't come live can do the process. We do a powerful 4-step transformative process. Those of you that were there, you can see how you're feeling today. See if that helped create some shifts, some empowerment, some embodiment of your vision. That work is so crucially important. So we're so excited to continue the journey today. It's a really important day. Each day is building on the last. So we started by getting clear on what is the book that we're destined to write? How do we set it up as a bestseller? And then, of course, we went into great, I have an idea, but what goes in it? We talked about book structures, book maps, book outlines. Then yesterday, we used brain science to really clarify a vision of where we're going, where we're being called to go in the world with these books to anchor that vision using the Silicon Valley practice of writing a book press release. And then we talked about building a success plan, the 3 ingredients that must be present. I'm holding a 4 because it's day 4, but the 3 ingredients yesterday that must be present for us to truly go all the way in my experience, not only with the book, but with the impact and the legacy and the revenue that you're here to create with that book. So we talked about, anyone remember any of the 3? We'll do a little pop quiz. What are the 3 things that research shows, certainly has been my experience, shows that are required for us to achieve a vision with our thought leadership, right? We have community mentorship and a strategy, a specific roadmap. What's the structure and strategy we're going to use in order to make that happen? When those 3 ingredients are present, we actually become unstoppable. We enter into capabilities. We draw out capabilities within ourselves that we didn't even think that were possible. We didn't even think we were capable of. So really, really powerful and incredible. What our brains and our hearts and our souls are capable of when we have that community mentorship and structure. So we're going to continue working on building your success plans today, right? Whether you want to use ours, which is our 90-day bestseller, and our Monetize Your Book Club, so that you put all those pieces together, or whether you're feeling pulled and drawn, in another direction, you want to make sure you have those things in place. And what we're going to talk about after we work on the craft of writing and solving the time gremlin, right? The time gremlin. Then what we're going to do is talk about, again, this idea of not all structures, roadmaps, and communities are created equal, meaning we need to find the ones, those 3 things, not just to have them in general, but to have the strategy, the mentorship, and the community that is designed to get you your book outcomes, right? Because we can have an editor, but is it an editor that knows how to help us make sure our book is going to help us get speaking engagements or attract dream clients and those kinds of things, right? So we're going to talk about how to make sure kind of what you want to know before you make those decisions. All right. So I just want to see, is Barbara here? Barbara, it was going to join me this morning. Barbara's one of our writing coach editors. And so if she's not here yet, Barbara, if you're here, yell at me so I can hear you and see you. And if not, we'll pop on and hopefully get to chat with Barbara a little bit later in our time. Okay. So amazing. So I want to know who did something between yesterday and today. Who took action and worked on a press release, whether you wrote it or the AI wrote it? Put in the chat what you did between yesterday and today so that we can celebrate you for being bold, for taking bold action, for being committed. Yeah, so John did the press release. Amazing. Yeah, awesome, Jules. It was powerful for you. Yes, it was wild. Amazing. You did your blurbs and press release, Alexandra. Amazing. Yes, Gigi, you met with Amy to kick off your 90-day bestseller. I love it. Yes, started your story, press release. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, and the Monetize Your Book Club meets Wednesdays, 12 to 1 Eastern time. the first and third week of the month, typically, Katie, great question. And then the 90-day bestseller is completely customized to each of you. So you choose when it works with your schedule, you meet with your editor, and then we are going to bonus. We have some treats for you all today because we're actually going to add some write-ins, some more community into the 90-day bestseller. So we have even more chances to be together there and in the club. So Helen finished most of your second book. Jade did some writing. Glynis worked on the press release. Susan edited. She's 86 pages in. Jade picture structure. Oh my gosh. Can we give each other some snaps and some high fives and some heart hands? And oh my gosh, absolutely incredible. This is incredible. You all are awesome. Who's done more this week than you would have done if you weren't doing the boot camp? Just put me in the chat, M for me or more, if you've done anything more than you probably would have done if we weren't together this week. Yes. Yes, that's why we do it, right? That's why we have the 90-day bestseller. That's why we have the club, because we won't do it on our own. There's too many other things that draw our attention that also we don't open up and expand. That's that community and mentorship piece into new ideas. Like, who's learned one new thing that you didn't think of before? You've done something more, but you've also thought about your vision as a thought leader, as an author in an expanded way. Yeah, absolutely. I feel so excited to get to be in the vortex together, right? Because new ideas come, you get inspired. Absolutely awesome. Okay, but we're ready for more, right? We're not done because today we're talking about how to make the writing riveting, how to get people to want to keep turning the pages, and how to figure out the freaking time. How do we have the time to actually do this, right? And we're going to be tomorrow talking about then that ROI. How do we create the revenue, the abundance to return to us in a beautiful cycle of circulation from giving our gift to the world, right? Absolutely. Good. A lot of you are really loving the homework, the energy. Yeah, me too. Awesome. Beautiful job. Okay. So team, you'll let me know if Barbara shows up. We'll have to see kind of where that can happen in the flow of things. Might need to be at the end there. But let's go into it and talk about the craft. Okay. I'm not going to pull up the slides yet because I want to have us be in a little bit different energy for this. Now, when I say the craft, we're not talking about, crafting, making collages or things, and that's really fun. We're talking about the craft of writing. You know, most things in life are an art and a science, right? Have we noticed that? Like, there's an art and science to business, there's an art and science to parenting, there's an art and science to marriage, there's an art and science to writing and doing visual art and engineering and innovating anything. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about the art, right? The science is like the strategy that we've been doing the last 3 days. What do we want this book to do for us and others in the world? What goes in it? How to reverse engineer. We're going to keep doing that tomorrow because we want to reverse engineer the monetization. But we want the art today a little bit, okay? Put art in the chat if that feels yummy to you, that feels fun, that feels good, all right? Yeah, so the way we're going to do this is I want to teach you 3 techniques. And I went back to school for 5 years and have fancy degrees in writing, creative writing, and I'm going to save you $100,000 in 5 years. Anyone up for that? Okay, I loved it. It was so important because this is what I do in the world, and it was absolutely a gift and an honor to be able to do that. And most people that I have the gift of working with, like, they don't want to go and get a master's of, creative writing and do that kind of work, right? And so most people are going to want to be able to be out doing your craft and the things that you're masterful in, but you want your writing to be good. The writing gets to be good. So I want to teach you 3 things that honestly, if we do these 3 things, it takes our writing from emerging to professional very, very quickly. And there's things every single person can do. I already know you can do it because I've spent a couple days with you, and every single one of us can do this. Okay. So let's take a deep breath and have some fun, right? Remember, writing gets to be fun and enjoyable and pleasurable, right? Okay. So how this is going to work is I am going to speak a sentence and I might write it into the chat. And I want you just to see what your brain does with this. Like, do you imagine anything? Do you feel anything? Just experience this sentence. So the woman, I'm going to say it and write it into the chat. The woman came to the place. Okay. The woman came to the place, right? So, the woman came to the place. Now, did your mind do anything? Did you feel anything? Just notice. Okay. And now I'm going to change it a little bit and I want to see if something different, if you see anything or imagine anything differently and you feel anything differently. Okay. So, how about we'll still keep a very gentle, the woman limped to the classroom. Okay. Does that change anything? Do you have a different experience? Do you have any different imagery or feelings? Just write in the chat what you experience. All right. Just notice if you do. You knew more. You wondered if she was okay. It's more of a visual. What if we kept that same thing and said, Elise skipped to the pharmacy? What happens there? Elise skipped to the pharmacy. Okay. Yeah, Gary felt like the first one was someone working when they were sick. They both caused curiosity. They created emotion. You felt, and you might wonder, like skipping to a pharmacy. You could see skipping to the playground, or maybe skipping to the spa, or skipping to, collect her $1 million, right? Okay, so what I want to get to, she was getting happy drugs, exactly, right? So what we're doing here is we are playing with just a few things with nouns and verbs and adjectives, right? Just in the same kind of sentence. It's still a woman going somewhere, right? It's still a woman going somewhere. But now we have something going on. Our brain is making a picture differently, right? When we have a little more information and our emotions respond. Do we feel kind of concerned if someone's limping to the classroom? Is she okay? Do we feel like, why is she so happy going to the pharmacy? Maybe she, whatever it is, right? So the reason I want to talk about this right now is that what we're dealing with here is specificity versus generality. Okay, specificity versus generality. So it's very easy to write a sentence just when we're drafting something and say tree. I met my clients at the office. The tree was outside my window, right? But what if instead of tree, it's spruce or the 100-year-old oak or the thinning pine, right? Or the abundant sycamore erupting in red in the September sunlight, right? So every time it's going to be easy to be general. And I want us to just start thinking about, and this can be like after you write a first draft, get something down, but how could we instead be specific? Instead of bird, could it be heron or eagle or osprey? Instead of car, is it a Mercedes or a Dodge Caravan? Those are going to give very different information. It's going to give a lot of story, right? The giving tree, right? And so we're talking about specificity versus generality. When people encounter something on the page, they either lean in if it's specific or they zone out if it's general. But we're used to just telling stories, right? We're used to just like we don't necessarily specify what kind of tree. If we're talking about, we turn left at the tree, but what if we did? What happens? So the way I think about this is if you came over to eat, if the way I'm going to think about all three of these, actually, I'll use this analogy in just a moment. But really quick, everyone, say hi to Miss Barbara Fant. Barbara is here. I just want you to say hello really quickly to the beautiful Miss Barbara Fant. Barbara is one of our incredible writing coaches and editors. We've been talking about community, Barbara, support, having the right strategy. Barbara's book, okay, just is launching this month, Joy in the Belly of a Riot. So, Barbara, real quick, because you are a master at craft. Poets are the best at craft in the world, okay? Because poets have to think about language as the primary, right? You have to think about this all the time. So, real quick, Barbara, I know you're launching your book this month. You are we're so excited that you're on our team. Some of you here who've just joined the 90-day bestseller are going to get to work with Barbara as your coach and editor. So Barbara, you jumped in at the perfect time to talk about craft. So just say hello, say where you live. I'm so obsessed because your book just arrived yesterday.
Oh
I'm
my
so
gosh, thank you. Hi, everyone. It's so lovely to be here. So lovely to meet you. My name is Barbara Fant. I am a poet, writer, performer, facilitator, and now a new coach. I'm super excited to be working with you all. I am from the Midwest. I'm from Ohio. And I currently live in Los Angeles. This is my third poetry collection that I am releasing, Joy in the Belly of a Riot, and super excited to share it with the world. And I'm super excited to be working with all of you. And I was cheering you on, Sarah, when you were talking about specifics. I was like, yes, 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 that's right. That's what the poets do. That's what we do. So,
That's what the poets do. And he goes, I just was having fun with Barbara's book today as like a meditation, basically. I was opening Barbara to a random page and I was just, look, and I think I opened to where is it? And I just to give you all an example of like this in real time, right? So Magic Before Magic is one of Barbara's poem. Gorgeous. I mean, this is a stunning, stunning collection. And Amy just put the link in the chat for any of
oh,
you that
thank
want to
you.
read this book. But if you want to just see what we mean about, using something specific, right? So, when you're writing poetry, you're not going to just, say, right? And even in here, you say, you know, she looked into the mirror and called herself solar system. How fire is that, you guys? Like she looked in the mirror and called herself solar system. Like that is not expected. That's not general. It's like the woman looked in the mirror. But now we know that this woman who's looking in the mirror calls herself solar system. Right? Isn't
Yes.
that amazing? Isn't it amazing? And so I just like that's just 1 second of just an example of all the things. I mean, we could open any page in this book and see something that is going to give us a piece of specificity instead of general, right? And so, Barbara, I'm so excited for you to work with, our some of our authors. We obviously have an incredible team of, five of you amazing writing coach editors that are here supporting our writers. And I just decided this today because I love this so much. I love this book because again, I just got it. It's like I'm
Oh,
so
thank
happy
you.
that the very next person that joins us for 90-day bestseller, I'm going to send you because I bought a bunch of these. I'm going to send you Barbara's book. And also everyone that already joined, when any of you that already registered yesterday, I'm giving it to you too.
Oh
Okay,
my
so you're
gosh.
all going to get a copy of this amazing book because I want everyone to see just like this is what the craft is about. So Barbara, thank you for coming on, saying hello, and we're going to do two more. I know you get to run because you've got book launch month and all the things, but I just want everyone to meet one of our amazing team, and especially because it's launch time for you. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And it's so lovely to meet all of you. I can't wait to work with you soon. Thank
Yes,
you.
amazing. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Barbara. So good.
Bye.
All right, so everybody, you'll get if you're working with us, you're going to get if you joined yesterday or the very next person, I'm going to send you Barbara's book. So it's so beautiful, and that's one of our amazing team, one of your potential editors. Okay, so we know specificity, right? Specificity is important, not just a general car, tree, building. Is it a pharmacy or a school? Is it a pickup truck or a Bentley? Is it a spruce tree or a redwood? Okay. Yeah, the line about solar system will stay with you forever. That's how powerful. That's how powerful it is to use. Isn't it stunning? It's absolutely incredible. Okay, so we're so lucky. We're so lucky to work with people like Barbara. All right, so now there's two more things. Who thinks you can do that? Who thinks like you are capable, no matter what you've ever believed about yourself as a writer, of just looking at a sentence and saying, is there one word in here I could switch from something general to something specific? Right? Yeah, we can all do this. This is absolutely doable. Okay, now, number two of three. Okay, number two of three is we are going to include sensory detail. Okay, sensory detail. What are we talking about in the senses? We're talking about the three-dimensional senses: sight, touch, sound, taste, smell. So I share this story a lot because it's just how I hold my grandmother in my heart. She lived to 94 years old, and one of her favorite things to ever tell me was about my great uncles, her brothers. who it was like a Saving Private Ryan situation in our family. They sent all three boys, immigrant family. They were orphaned, when they were very young. So they're in a country where none of them speak the language. The parents are killed, and they're four children like raising each other, right? So the level of what these children went through is incredible. We're French on that side, so came over from France through Canada, um, and so. Um, and so she tells the story of the three brothers. So the two girls are staying in the United States where they're newly immigrated, and the three boys get sent over to D-Day in World War II. Okay, they get separated in different platoons and divisions, and then and then they were always searching for each other. And then at midnight mass, there was a ceasefire, and I think they were in the Ardennes, kind of in the forest, in one of those like in Band of Brothers as well, right? And there was a ceasefire, and they were allowed to go to church. And so two of my uncles found each other at midnight mass at this church, like after not seeing each other, not knowing if they were dead or alive. Like it makes me get really choked up. Okay, so this is a powerful story already, the way I shared it with you, right? Like maybe or maybe not. It depends what your relationship to it. But there's drama, there's all these things. Okay, so imagine if just I take a piece of that story and I say, the same beginning, the brothers are sent in different divisions, and I just pick it up here. So my one uncle was called Jerry, and the other, his nickname was Bud. And everywhere that Bud went, he was the life of the party, even on the boats and in his, rolling through the countryside in the tanks. And everywhere he went, whenever he would see a soldier from any other division, he would say, "Have you seen Jerry LaRoe? Have you seen Jerry LaRoe?" Because that's the baby brother. And he just was like, "Oh my God, please say he's okay. Please say he didn't perish in D-Day." And everywhere he went, everyone says, "No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry." And it's just eating at him. And he gets to the Ardennes forest, and it's freezing. And they can all see their breath in the air, and their socks are wet, and their feet are frozen. And it's one night of no fighting, one night of no gunshots, one night of no wheels rolling through the countryside. And they're allowed to go to mass. And so Bud makes his way over to this church, and the stained glass windows are kind of frosted over with the heat of everyone's breath. And there's rows of the votive candles, and he lights a candle for Jerry. And a woman began singing the Ave Maria, and it just rips him open because that's the song his mother would sing. And so he's just awash with the fatigue and the fear and all of the things going on in his 19-year-old body. And he looks over in the middle of the Ave Maria, and he thinks he's hallucinating because he sees Jerry, his brother. Okay, so I'm just telling you like a second of this story. Now, who felt something more in the second version than the first? You put two in the chat, or just, yeah. Yeah. We feel something more because why? What senses did you hear? Okay. What senses? We had some specificity, right? We know names and we know places, but what else did you, from the seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, tasting, what did you notice of anything? If there was any sensory detail in that story? Yeah, which specifically? See if you can pick out. I know I said it really fast and I didn't ask you to listen for it. Yeah. Right? There was cold. We have the cold, wet feet. We have their breath fogging the windows, the stained glass windows. We see the flicker of the candles, right? We hear the Ave Maria being sung. The gunshots, like, oh, it just makes me cry for my uncles, right? It's like, and we all have a story like this in our family. And then to have that moment of this miracle that felt like a miracle, to these brothers finding each other, like at a place that was sacred, that reminded them of their mother that they lost, right? So I'm crying. I've heard this a million times. My grandmother would say it all the time, right? But this is the power when we take the time to just put, and even if you're writing a very businessy book, and even if you're writing a very, now I'm gonna, now my sunscreen's running in my eye, and I'm gonna, be eye watering. I'm not actually losing it completely over my beloved uncles. But right, you're imagining the senses as a reader, right? Did anyone feel like the cold? Did anyone feel maybe like you were in the church and you could, or if you've been in a mosque or a synagogue or any sacred place, that you could feel, that you could start to imagine the sounds and the feelings and the cold. And so what we have there is specificity, right? Now, I could have gotten even more specific. I could have said, but see, I didn't say the person started singing a song or there was music. I named the Ave Maria, right? Right. And the warm candles of the church in contrast of the outside cold, right? And the third thing I did, which is our number three technique. So we had specificity, we had sensory detail with the cold, the gunshots, the music, the candles, the stained glass. Oh, now I really got sunscreen in my eye. That's so funny. Okay. So don't mind me. But the third thing I did, which is our technique number three, is dialogue. Okay, so it's very easy when we think about writing, if you're writing a business book about helping a client or you're writing a memoir, whatever, it's very easy to just tell it, right? The way I did the first time. You know, my uncle went here and he was looking for his brothers and then he found his brother and it was this miracle, right? But is it more powerful to you when I said, and everywhere my Uncle Bud went, he said, have you seen Jerry LaRoe? See, that's different than me saying my uncle was looking for my other uncle. It's different to hear Jerry or hear Bud say, have you seen Jerry LaRoe? Right? When I let him speak. So if you're writing about a client or yourself or a doctor's visit or a classroom or a mountaintop, it's probably not that your entire book is only going to be you interacting with no other human, right? You know, there's probably going to be some other people in your book. And so you're able to, you're able to, by letting that person speak, evoke a different experience in the reader. And I want to give you the brain science behind this because it's really exciting and important. When we take the time to be specific instead of general, to use senses instead of, not including them, and when we let the people in our story, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, speak, the brain of the person reading lights up as if it's happening to them. If we had EEG sensors on all of you right now, when I even told that story, you weren't even seeing it on the page. Your brain may have lit up as if you were in the church, as if your feet were cold, as if you were hearing a piece of music that was really powerful for you. Isn't that amazing? So we are doing a service because remember, we're not writing just informational books or inspirational books. We're writing what? Put it in the chat, pop quiz, if you've been here all week. Transformational books. Exactly, Lauren. And when we take the time to do this, dialogue, specificity, sensory detail, the person's going to have a transformation. They're going to be a participant in that book in a way that they couldn't have otherwise. So it's a little more effort, right? To be more specific, to use some senses and dialogue. But who knows you could do all three of these? I asked you if you could do the first one to be specific. Who knows that you could think about what did it sound like, taste like, so like just one thing. You don't put every single sense in every single part, right? Isn't that cool? Right? We can all do this. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to spend 5 years studying. We can all do this. We all know what our senses are and we can think about it a little bit. We know we could think about how to be swap something general for something specific and we can let someone in the moment of the work speak. Even let yourself speak instead of talking about. And then I said, I was teaching a workshop and I told the audience to get out a pen and paper. And then I had them do a deep breathing exercise. What if you just said, I gathered the group together and sounded the singing bowl. We all took a breath. And I said, okay, get ready. What we're going to do next is going to change everything. Right? That's just you leading a workshop if you're talking about that, right? So it's just starting to think of like a writer if we haven't been already. And if you're already doing this and you write all the time, you know all this, but do we want to do it some more? Do we want to do it? Do we want to take it up a level? Think like a poet. You can get real. We can nerd out all day long. I'll happily do it. I will, right? We can talk about metaphors and similes and all kinds of stuff. But honestly, if you do these three things, people will want to keep reading. If you set yourself up with what we did days 1 through 3, and then do this for the actual like craft, right? Okay. So we're gonna do the time strategies for a minute. And then I'm going to put this all together into your homework for today. All right. So, yeah, Glynis, first person or third person or second person can all be powerful. I think it's more about what kind of vibe you want to have with your reader. If you're writing a memoir, it will be written in first person because it's your personal story. And if you're writing a high converting thought leader book, I think your reader likes to feel like you're telling them the story parts. So I think the first person can be great. But if you're writing a novel or, certain other types of work, you might want to talk, about in the third person, right? So if you don't know what we're talking about is point of view, is it the I, like I did this versus, Glynis did this, right? In your case, Glynis. Yeah, great question. Okay. So is everyone like think we can just put that front and center for today. We'll come back to it in a couple minutes for your homework. All right. Now, we know our book ideas. We have an idea of the structure. Most of you have picked your idea and your structure. Now we know how to make the writing riveting. We've started reverse engineering the book that's going to set up to get your book outcomes. The rest of that, more will come tomorrow, the next piece. But who feels concerned about the time? Put T in the chat. If one of the stresses about all of this is what I'm going to do after this boot camp to actually write the book. Yes, me too. Okay, I hear you. So what I want to do is take you through um, I want to take you through three things, three strategies that change the game for me in terms of time. Okay. Some of you are like, I'm good with time, but you might still enjoy this just in terms of efficiency and productivity. Okay. So it can, still something for everyone here. All right. So did an orange screen come up that says find the time? Okay. Fabulous. All right. So I'm going to take you through three things that changed the game for me. And you might want to use one of these. You'll know when you hear it. If you think it's your intuition will let you know if it's going to be useful for you. You might want to try one of these. You might be like me and actually benefit from all three. Okay. So here we go. The first is the time log or time journal. So has anyone ever kept a food journal or a money journal? So it's like you track everything you eat if you're doing nutrition, or you track everything you're spending if you're working on finances. So just put J for journal if you've done some kind of a food or a money journal at any point. Okay, so some of you have, right? Okay, great. And what's so cool about the time journal or the time log is that it is an illumination experience in my opinion. Like often we think I just don't have any time, and you don't, right? You get to the end of the day and it's been very full. But what the time journal or the time log is designed to do is for a period of, you can do one day to 1 week. And the way that you work this strategy is you're just going to write down everything you do. Just like you would with a food or a money journal, you're going to write down, 7 to 7:15 meditate, 7:15 to 7:30 shower, 7:30 to 8 o'clock, make breakfast, get my child to school, whatever you're doing. Okay. So you're going to write down everything you do. If you go to a period of work at a particular place, you're like, work at this job, from these hours, right? Met with client 12 to 1, had a meeting with team, whatever it is. Okay. So you're not going to change. You're not going to judge. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to write down where the time is going. Right? Because until we can see it, we can't change it. Until we can see something, we can't change something. So then what you're going to get to do is look at that after you've done, whether it's one day or a week, and you're going to look at it and you're just going to circle anything on there that you have spent time doing that feels less important to you than getting this book done. Okay? So let's say they're firm commitments. Like tonight I'm going to my son's back to school curriculum night, right? I'm not going to not do that to write my book. I am a very present mother. I'm committed. I'm very excited to go and see what he's up to and meet his teachers. So that is just a commitment. That's not something I would circle. What I would circle is watching 4 shows on Netflix. Okay, that were really enjoyable and really fun. However, right? I would circle I would circle that. I would circle if I went online and was sort of browsing and took half an hour to put stuff in, a cart on Amazon, or I scrolled social media and what. Now, I'm not judging these. These aren't bad things. I'm not lazy. I'm not whatever. But are they more? If I had a weights and balance scale, and in my left hand was, my right hand was getting this book done by the end of the year, and the left hand is going on social media or shopping online or maybe I had a phone call with my mom, which was delightful, but I could have had a really meaningful chat with her in 15 minutes, and I just talked to her for 45 minutes, just like whatever, just what maybe I cleaned my pantry, but did it need to be done without doing any writing right? So we're not judging. We're just going to circle anything that's less important to us than getting this book done by the end of the year. In the moment, it's just like, I just want a break. It's so much easier to consume versus create. Put create in the chat if you resonate with that. Like there's so many times like, God, I just love to read someone else's awesome book that they already they already edited and did all the work. I'm just going to sit here and go. I mean, and I do read. Reading is so important and so valuable, right? We talked about that in the VIP session yesterday. But is it more important to me? And this is not an either or. So if I look and I watched, 4 episodes of a fun show, I could say, would I be willing to swap and write for an hour and then watch 2 episodes of a show or 1 episode of a show? Because I tell you, I'm going to go to bed at night feeling so much better. My self-esteem, my sense of commitment and integrity is going to be so much more powerful with myself if I wrote and then watched a show than if I just watched the show and didn't write at all. Does anyone relate to that, right? So the time log, the time journal is going to illuminate where the time is going. Now, I've worked with people who are single moms working multiple jobs, and they weren't scrolling on, line and shopping or doing anything, right? They were busting butts, taking care of children, and we've still found a way. There's always been a way. We have had people do our 90-day program and they have finished it anyway. Okay? Yeah. So we don't want to deprive ourselves. We want a pleasure bundle. Do the writing and then reward ourselves with something really fun, whether it's reading or consuming or relaxing, whatever it is. All right. So the next strategy is the time scheduling. So I want everyone to tell me in the chat the way you schedule your most important appointment. Like if you have a flight or you have a meeting with a doctor or something for someone you care for, like a parent or a child, someone you're caring for, what is the way you make sure that you will not miss that appointment? Like, do you set an alarm? Do you put it in an electronic calendar? Do you write it down? Do you set reminders? Okay, so Christina, time blocks and color codes. That's so fun. Put in the chat the way Katie does alarms. Yep, and it's in your calendar as a non-negotiable. Okay, so this next strategy is where we go ahead and look at the upcoming week. You could do this on a Sunday, and you block in time to write your book the same way that you would of an appointment that you would never ever miss. So if it's a really important appointment and you not only put it on a calendar, but you write yourself a note and you set an alarm, then that's what you're going to do for your writing time. Okay? Because I tell this story a lot because it was a very uncomfortable and awesome moment in my life. I was working with someone, a mentor, and she said, what are your top 3 goals for the year? And I said, writing this next book and this, raising our income in the business to, I don't know, it was like say 500,000 that year, whatever it was, and being like a really present mother. And she said, awesome, open up your calendar. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, pull it up on screen, share your screen. I want to see your Google Calendar. And I felt that ick feeling because I knew where this was going. I kind of knew exactly what was going to happen. And she said, awesome. And she looked at my calendar. She said, well, I see the things for your son. I see these things where you're doing parenting things. Okay, great. And I see some, business building things. I see no writing time book, nothing. And I was like, well, I kind of fit it in. And, I knew what she was saying. And what it showed me was how we get to be in integrity with our vision. That press release you wrote last night, is that what your calendar reflects? Is the person who is living that incredible impact and success represented in how you're spending your time? Well, my answer was no, it was not. It was not. And so I had an opportunity, right, to inventory my time and make some changes. So you can think about this. Now, it still didn't solve all my problems. Because even though I know what I'm doing with my time, and even if I schedule it with all the reminders and all the things, there were still many, many times I wasn't getting the writing done. And because I just happened to be in a season in life where there's a lot of constraints on time, it was particularly difficult. And so I was feeling a little bit desperate. I had my book deal was in place. I had a deadline with the publisher. I had an infant child for my first book, and I just couldn't see how I was going to get it done because I didn't have any stretches of time and everything. And I met a woman who'd written 3 books. She had 4 children under the age of 5. She had 4 children in a row. She had no nanny. She had no babysitter, just like me. She didn't have any help. This was not a Sheryl Sandberg lean in sort of experience. Okay. This was like, this is it. And she said, I never had more than 30 minutes. Whether, the kids were napping or they were involved in something, I had 30 minutes at a time. And she got 3 books done that way. And that was and I invented what I call the writing wedge. Okay. The writing wedge is when you can reclaim or snatch a segment of time that you would normally think is too short to be productive. So I have done writing wedges waiting in the dentist's office. If they're running a little late, I have 20 minutes. I've got my laptop with me everywhere I go, or I have my phone with me and I can dictate a next section that I can, transcribe and put into the manuscript later. Right? I have written in my son's school, you drive up, thank God they do it this way. You don't get out of the car and stand around. You drive up in your car and you wait for the kids to come out. I'm not chatting. I was not a big popular mom at my son's elementary school. I wasn't fun. I was in the car, like do not disturb vibes going on in my window, and I'm cranking out a paragraph or a page or something, right? There's all these snippets of time when you say, oh, I'll just zero the inbox, I'll return the email, I'll scroll on social media. What if instead you reclaimed that time? Now, how do we make this productive? With the story bank. Because if we only have 15 minutes, we don't want to spend 13 of it looking at the page going, I don't remember what I'm going to do. So in the morning, in the shower, I select something in my mind from the story bank that I'm going to work on that day. We talked about this a little bit in session 3. So that when I get to 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 15 or whatever I have, I know this is what I'm doing. I jump in, I get something done. And the feeling I have from doing it versus not doing it, even if it's 15 minutes, even if it's 30 minutes, is incomparable for how good I feel about touching it, moving it a little bit forward. I wrote, of my 6 books that have been published so far, 3 of them I wrote in never more than 30-minute wedges. And these are the same books that National Book Award nomination, won awards, #1 bestsellers on multiple bestseller lists. Okay. Yes, Sandra, it's your bestie going forward. This was so powerful. Now, some of you have tons of time. You don't need this. But for those of us that feel that crunch, that pressure, that stress, this might open up something for you. So put in the chat which of these 3 you think could create a breakthrough for you in getting your book done. And all of the above, Jade. If you're like me, I use every single one of these. Okay? It's so exciting that you actually do have time that you think you don't. Now, sometimes I've needed to get up earlier. I moved my wake up time an hour earlier to get the book done. I've done that, right? Time log and time scheduling, wedges. All right. So I'm so excited that we got to look at these together because this changed everything from thinking I'm screwed, I can't do it, and also taking 3 or plus years to write a book. There was a gentleman, I love this guy so much. He was a teacher and he was really clear. It was like, I'm not writing on weekends because that's time to be with my family and my kids and do stuff around the house. And he was really into fitness. So he was running races and biathlons and stuff like that. And obviously he had a job, right? And so every day he had one period, like a 45-minute free period that teachers get they could use it for lunch or whatever. He would go in his car, roll up his windows and write. He did his whole book like that within one school year. Just 45 minutes in the car. And he was writing a long book, like a novel. Okay. So it's there are possibilities. The time you need is here for you. And in my experience coaching people with these 3, I've coached on these 3 for about 15 years now, and we've never not been able to figure out time for someone that I've worked on these strategies with. Every time we found it. Every time we found the time. Okay. So put E for empowered if this is feeling helpful, if it's feeling empowering, if you feel like this gives you something when you think about, oh my God, okay, I might be excited about my book, but how am I going to write this thing? Right? Yeah, super, super empowering for me. It helped me create 6 books. That's why I have 6 and I'm writing the 7th. All right. Sometimes you might need more time. And if you have it, great. But no one needs to take themselves out of this game. That's what I learned. I can stay in the game. I can still be an author and a great mother and run businesses and be a loving partner and take care of myself because I work out every day. I love to work out. Movement is non-negotiable for me. So this is not at the expense of our health. It's not the expense of relationships in our life. It's not at the expense of the other commitments we have. Okay, I'm excited for you all. Okay, great. Okay, great. So, what I want to do between now and when we finish this main session today, remember tomorrow we're going to really work on the ROI. We're going to talk about multiple different ways that you can generate revenue and financial abundance through your book because that's so important. Yeah, Amy, exactly. In the 90-day bestseller, those of you, we have the whole system built out in a done for you system. You're going to plug in what days you want to write, how often you want to write, how long your book is, and it's going to tell you every single day what to do today. So you don't have to think about a 200-page book. You can think about just, oh, I'm going to write 2 pages. Cool. That's what my tracker, that's what my 90-day bestseller plan says. I'm going to write 2 pages today. Does that feel better to anyone that is like, does that feel better? Like, oh, I can focus on 2 pages instead of 200, right? It gives us some relief. Okay. So we started talking yesterday and we did a little pop quiz at the beginning. What are the 3 things we're all going to need in order to get our books done by the end of the year, whatever timeline you set for yourself, right? So I want to still hear by who's still all in to finish your book this year, by the holidays, by the winter break, by the turn of when we head in from 2025 to 2026, your book is done. Okay. Put done in the chat if that is still on your heart. All right. That you were just like, I am doing this. It's happening. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. And some of you are doing it sooner. Okay. Amazing. So let's talk about the 3 things we're going to need. We know are the strategy, the mentorship, and community. Okay. So just to review, and we didn't look at this in a picture yesterday, but I want to show this to you. All right. So at the heart of everything is your books. And I say high converting book strategy. High converting means your book is reverse engineered to open the doors that you identified here in day one. Because the problem is, we can work with an editor, but that editor might not be a strategist. We could work with, someone who's a writing coach, but they might not know how to make sure that we're writing the right book for the objectives that we've set. If we want to be speaking, if we want to be seen as an industry leader, if we want to make partnerships with leaders in our industry, if we want to attract dream clients, we want to generate revenue, not every book is going to do that, right? So at the heart of the system that I love to use, and that's why we teach it this way in the 90-day bestseller and in our club, is that everything is going to come from that strategy. Right? Where do you get that strategy? That's the very first thing we do when you start the 90-day bestseller. So if those other doors are important to you, whether you work with us or someone, you need to make sure that there is a strategy component that matches. You're working in community mentorship and with a strategy of someone that's done the things you want to do, right? Not just get a book done. Okay, so you've got the strategy it's the sun in our solar system, right? Okay. And then, yes, your editor, you met Barbara Fant earlier, right? Who's amazing. You're going to work. There's 5 incredible full-time members of our team that are just obsessed with you and your books. That is completely customized. There's someone with you every step of the way, holding your hand, looking at that book map, helping you say, okay, this is the next thing. Let's bring this part out. This is amazing. Okay, you're confused what to do next. I've got you. So you've got a coach and an editor in one. Those are 2 different skill sets, and we train our team and attract people who are trained in both, right? Because you need the accountability, the support, that person brainstorming with you. When you hire an editor, like I did at the beginning, you get a couple pages of notes or some things in the margin. And one of the notes I used to get is do better. That's what people would write to me. DB, do better. Well, I don't know what that means, right? I'm a newer writer. I don't know how to do it better. That's why I need the help. Are you not going to help me? Can you please tell me, right? So that coaching and editing mix, right? So again, you get to listen. You'll know in your heart what system you need, right? But this is so important to me as a writer because I don't just want someone to say, fix this or do better. I need someone to help show me how. Right. And to partner with me and walk alongside me and also hold me accountable and saying, you're sending me the next 20 pages by next Thursday. Right. right? And then the course, because I like to do more of what we did today. I want to learn about the craft of writing. I want to have help with how to make the reader's brain light up so they get a transformation, right? More than we can accomplish in the book. So the course is the reinforcement to what's happening in the one-on-one and what's happening in the strategy, right? And then this accountability system, like Amy's talking about, you're going to have your strategy session. If you're working with us or whoever you work with, this is what you're going to need to think about. And you're going to plug in the date you want to be finished your book and how long you want your book to be. And it's going to break it all down for you by week and by day. And also give you some motivation, fire you up, give you some love, right? And then for those of you that want it, you get to fall asleep at night or while you're doing dishes or walking around your house to brain activations that are going to put your brain in an alpha theta state for the genius zone. So you're going to be downloading those ideas. You're going to be inspired. You're going to be in creative flow. And then you can fall asleep at night to the success recordings if you want to, so that you're in that energy of success and abundance and confidence and motivation. Otherwise, we're swimming upstream with a backpack of rocks, right? That's why we did that whole session last night. Okay. So that's built in. You've got that mindset piece. And then this is we just decided this, Amy and I, last night. We are going to have 2 times a month, we're going to have write-ins. Okay, that means we get together on Zoom, and anyone who wants to come and is working on your book, even though you have your one-on-ones and you have the course and you have the accountability system and you have the activators, get to feel like you're back in the boot camp, and we're going to write. We're going to get into the zone. We're going to turn some music at the beginning for a couple minutes, get high vibe, shut the music off, get quiet, and we're going to write. Okay? And then, of course, what is circling in our whole solar system, the Milky Way galaxy, is then how, after we write it, and while we're still writing it, really importantly, we get to create an ROI, attract clients while you're writing, book speaking while you're writing, attract opportunities while you're writing, generate revenue while you're writing. So that my goal is always to have paid for whatever I've invested in editing before the book comes out, right? And that's what we're going to work on. Right? So it's not an expense, it's an investment that immediately returns on itself and produces profit for the rest of our lives. That's what we're going for. Okay. So I want you to think about the ecosystem that you need. Now, you all have individual goals. This is how I love to do it because I'm an all of the above person. I'm an all of the above person, meaning I want all 7 doors of opportunity opening so I can reach the people we're here to serve. I can be in the airport bookstore when someone needs it on their darkest day. All right. So I just wanted to go through and like look at it together, right? So when you do this individually, if you hire just a straight book coach, they're not going to edit the book. They're just going to empower you, hold you accountable, help you get the book done. Typically, it's about $3,500 to $10,000. That's also what standard book coaches charge. Editors, you can pay anywhere from $3,500, which I wouldn't recommend, but you can, up to $25,000 and beyond, depending on who you're working with. Right? If you're hiring someone to teach you the book launch strategies and sponsorship and marketing, it's $5,000 or more. And then by absolute, I know because I make many of these investments, if we're investing in book business coaching, how to get the ROI, that's 15,000 to 50,000 plus. So the minimum we're investing is usually 35 to 75,000. I invested way over 6 figures in these things, right? And that is a colossal and wild number. Right. So that's why we are so passionate about making sure we can do that for so much less. And you all know you can do, because of the boot camp, you can do the 90-day bestseller to do the book part for 6,000 instead of 35, right? People have been paying us 15 to 35 to do just that. And then the club for the ROI, instead of, 15,000 to 50,000, it's under 1,000. It's $1,000 for the whole year. Right? So just know these are the things you're going to want to ask yourself. What doors do you want your book to open? And then you'll want to find a book coach and editor, someone who's teaching you the launching and marketing strategies and the ROI, right? And obviously, if you do it with us, because you came to the boot camp, you can do it for a lot less. All right. So I just want to go through that with everybody so you have it and you can ask questions. You can come to VIP. You can ask questions tomorrow. We're going to be talking about that ROI. We're going to be talking about all these fun ways, authentic ways for you, because how Alexandra is going to monetize her book is going to be different than Joyce. That'll be different than Dale. That'll be different than Molly. That'll be different than Carla. because we all have different pieces. Yeah, Rose, if you already have a book, then you can just join the Monetize Your Book Club. You can just join that team. If you put that in the chat, just the club by itself, and then also the 90-day bestseller, right? And you can bundle them together. You can just join the club. If you already have your books, you don't need any of that other piece. Of course, come in the club and work on your ROI for $1,000 for an entire year, right? Absolutely. Okay, so there's the link. 90-day bestseller if you don't have your book done and you want to work with our team and also have the system and the course and the brain activators and the write-ins. I kind of feel like you're in the boot camp for the rest of the year with us, right? This is just going to continue. And then if you already, like Rose was saying, you already have your book, then you can come in the Monetize Your Book Club right away and just do that. Okay. So we're so excited to continue the energy that we have here. And John, yes, you can. And if you want to talk to Amy, so you can work out how to do it and you can break these up into payment plans. We have all kinds of options. So this is available to everyone. Okay. So what's the homework tonight? We said we're going to bring it all together. What's the homework tonight? The homework, we're going to put it all into this beautiful coral cord. You're going to do a writing wedge. Okay, what's a writing wedge? Somewhere between 15 or more minutes. You are going to take an idea from your story bank and you are going to try one of those three writing craft techniques on an idea from your story bank. Okay. So you're gonna take an idea from your story bank. It might be a little scene. You can do the same strategies around a piece of research. If anyone's read the Steve Jobs biography by I think is it Walter Isaacson? It's a great book, big fat book about Steve Jobs. He's writing about meetings with tech companies. That should not be so excited. Okay, so exciting, right? It shouldn't be so exciting. All right. But he puts you into the room. He tells you what Wozniak is wearing. He tells you that Steve Jobs had body odor. He tells you that, his skin was turning orange because he was had too much vitamin A and he was eating only fruit, right? It's just like those details make this meeting between guys talking about computers really fascinating, right? So this can be for any type of writing. So who has at least 15 minutes today that you can do a writing wedge, take an idea from your story bank. If you weren't here and you don't know what the story bank is, just take an idea of something going to go in your book and write a couple sentences and then think about specificity, think about detail, think about dialogue. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, yes. And we had a note. Okay, because all of the bonuses and the special pricing for the 90-day bestseller and the Monetize Your Book Club is only right now it's available through Saturday at the end of our boot camp week. I know some of you couldn't get in to meet with the team if you want to meet with Amy first. So we've opened up more times. Okay, so if you can't get in, we should have a way to get you in today, tomorrow, or Saturday. But if you absolutely can't, we'll make sure you can get in Monday. But if you booked a meeting further out, we're going to make sure you can meet earlier so that you can take advantage and not have to pay like 8 times more and not get the bonuses of the write-ins and all the bonuses that are in the club. Okay. Yeah. So we'll just move you up to make sure everybody can meet by Monday. Okay. So Amy will reach out to you if you, yeah. Amy will reach out to you if you were booked further out, and then we'll make sure we get you in earlier if you need to. All right. So are we good? Are we clear? We're clear on our homework. VIPs, we're going to hop over to VIP and take it to another level. Everybody will meet back here at noon tomorrow for a very, very, very crucial day about returning on the investment, monetizing our books. All right. See you in either a minute or tomorrow. Bye, guys.